Hopefully there's a number of CBUSA members on board today. We've taken time to listen to this webinar. We've been working alongside Eric and his team at TopBuilder Solutions for a couple of years now, and I'm really excited about the services that they provide and are looking forward to this webinar. I think you'll get a lot out of it. For those on the call that are not part of our network, just briefly, CBUSA is a national network of custom and independent builders that work together in cooperation to lower costs and provide alternate streams of revenue through rebate income and improving service levels with the supply channel. So I'd love the opportunity to talk to you about that at some point if you're ever interested, but today is really about the content that Eric has, and we're looking forward to hearing it. So thanks for the opportunity to put this on, and take it away, Eric.
Great. Thanks, Brian. And thanks to the other CBUSA people that I've dealt with, Bill Smithers, Daryl Wiedner, Ryan Lipchak, and some others. We're very happy to put this on. It is brand agnostic. We're not going to be logging into any software or talking prices or anything like that. It is relevant education that anyone can take with them. There is my contact information here. You're welcome to contact me at any time if you'd like a copy of this presentation. And there's a Microsoft Word document that goes along with it with a lot more detail and so forth. So let's get going. We've got a lot of people on the call. There is a panel on the right side for you. And so if you have questions, go ahead and type those in there, and we will go through all of those at the end. But that way we can get through all of the content, and then for anyone who wants to stay for the questions, we'll go through all of those until we get through them all. Again, my name is Eric, and we're going to kick this off here. Really, it's about money. If I could boil it all down to one simple word, it's about running our businesses and making more money. These are the things that we're going to go through today. We're going to talk about CRM systems, manual processes, automated processes, responses, data, formulas, and a bunch of stuff. So there's about 24 slides in, as best as I can, 30 minutes. So we're going to go through these things fast, but ask the questions on the panel and then contact me, and I'll be happy to not only send you the content, but if you have any questions that you would feel more comfortable just talking to me over the phone, we can do that as well. So unfortunately, if you are not feeling like you're selling as many homes as you want to sell right now, the best time for you to deal with that was yesterday. The second best time is right now. If you had a new lead, the right time to manage that lead is right now. And if you're not getting leads, best time to get those new leads is, well, the second best time is now. So whether you're talking about most elements of your business, in this case, we're talking about lead management, best practices, following up quickly is critical and directly connected to your profitability. Let's make some assumptions real quick. First of all, a lot of builders, especially custom builders that have sort of a smaller dollar amount, think of a CRM system as an sort of a cost, right? Overhead. It really isn't. It should be considered an investment with a return on investment that you can qualify very easily in your head. And also, CRM systems generally are inexpensive, especially if you're considering the profit and loss on one house. Not selling the house or not selling it as fast as you could, not getting new deals, new design build agreements, etc. That all costs money. So the CRM system is really, whichever CRM system you're using, they're all relatively inexpensive. Even the most expensive ones are inexpensive when you consider the potential profit and potential loss. But keep in mind that CRM systems, even if you're doing it sort of manually through Excel and manual emails and so forth, however you're managing that, they're only part of your sales department. Your sales department and the elements therein, your people, your workflow, and the content you send out and the process you go through, all of that is part of that greater machine that runs your company. We're also assuming that you know about contact us forms. As consumers, we go out to websites and we see a contact us form of some kind or another, and we put our data in there and hit submit. That contact data should feed right into whatever CRM system you're using. And I will say that we're assuming that you're investing in getting leads in some way, whether that's organically, whether you're paying to have your website come up higher on a search engine optimization plan, or you're buying AdWords like best custom builder in Omaha, or if you're going through companies like the BDX to buy leads. However you're getting those leads, that's certainly an investment, and we assume that you're doing that. And I will go ahead and assume that your company is more than just a seller of structures. It's really a resource. It's an engine, but it's also a resource to all of those prospects out there. We're trying to talk about moving suspects to prospects to customers. And so in that effort, it's not just providing a house, it's providing a lot of information, guidance, mentoring in some cases, etc. But the main takeaway that I'm going to really stress today is that your CRM system, whatever you're using, has to be easy, effective, and affordable, with emphasis on the easy. Because if it's not easy, it doesn't get used. And if it doesn't get used, who cares what it costs? So easy, effective, and affordable, you really can have all three. That adage, like good, fast, and cheap, you can only have two. In the technology sense, you really can have all three. So what I would call the 10 CRM must-have features, after talking to builders for 20 years in this industry and showing them how to make money off of software, specifically CRM software, these 10 things are really the most critical that you can have in your CRM system. First of all, if you are doing things manually like Excel and Outlook and so forth, you're putting a lot of burden on your staff. You really have to have a customer relationship management system of some kind. And I mentioned that it has to be easy, effective, and affordable. But when you look at that, it has to have three most critical things so you can track things. It has to have a source, because how else are you going to manage where all your leads are coming from? It has to have a status, so you know where in the process this particular lead, or you might call opportunity, is. And it has to have some way for you to score it or rate it or prioritize it. That could be hot, warm, cold, although that's not very good, but you could do it that way. Or you could do, 1, 2, 3, or you could be more sophisticated, whatever works for you, but you have to score it in some way. Of course, you've got an email from the system, and the CRM system has to have some way to allow you to do automated workflow, automated emails and automated reassignments and so forth. And different than mass emails, it needs to have follow-up campaigns, or what you might know as drip campaigns. The system has to be unlimited. You don't want a system to say you can only have so many users, or you can only send so many emails, or that kind of stuff. And you need to know the investment, and it has to be in writing, not only the current investment, but what is it going to cost in the future. All of that has to be known, because builders make a mistake. They choose software, and then they forgot to ask if training was free or not, and so forth. It must have reporting. We'll get into some reports, but there are reports you're really going to need, like a lead cost analysis report. So when the BDX or anybody else calls and says, hey, it's time to renew your agreement, you need to know not only how many deals you brought in, but how profitable were they, and so forth, so that you can make qualified decisions. And then, of course, the business process. When you look at a CRM system, or really any kind of construction management software, in the training itself, you have to have business process. It cannot just be about, here's where you click for this, and here's how you pull up that, and here's how you add a user. It can't specifically be software training. It needs to be business training as well. Okay, sorry I'm going fast, but again, I'll send all this to you as you contact me. Now, there are about 10 critical questions, and I could go through 100 that you might want to ask, but these 4 are very important before you buy any CRM software, really before you buy any software. Do I have to have it integrated with other systems? Many CRM systems do have that, but as long as it allows a very easy export and then import tool, it doesn't really matter unless you're doing many homes, many dozens of homes, or hundreds or thousands of homes. Then you absolutely want a CRM system integrated with what I would call an ERP, construction management system. But for a lot of custom builders who are doing things in some way, a lot of manual work, it's not that critical, as long as it has that easy export and import. The other thing I want to point out is that a lot of times companies say, I just want to buy it, right? The builder mentality, understandably, is I just want to have it. I want it to be mine. But the truth is, even the giant builders that I've sold software to that do many thousands of homes, they don't invest in the risk aversion, the technology, the redundant backups and all of this kind of stuff to the extent that your technology companies do. So having it web-based is really the way to go these days. So I encourage you to consider that things on the web are many times much safer than you as a builder would typically have them on your own. And then when you're looking at the CRM software, does it have the workflow that I need built in, or do I have to recreate that? Because if I go buy a piece of technology that is not industry specific, I'm going to have to do some amount of setting that up for my company. So with the CRM systems that are out there that are specific to the industry, that workflow is already built in. That is many hours of time that you don't have to spend. Now, in terms of what data to track, the short answer is any data that will help you sell the deal, right? So if their dog is named Spot and you want to leverage that in your conversation, or more realistically, things like they want a water view, or they like tennis courts, or maybe they ride horses, or whatever, all of that data can and will be used against them in the course of the sale. Not really used against them. Don't think of yourself as adversarial. These people are coming to you for a home, and your job is to sell them your home, not some other builder's home. So all of this data that you can get, as much contact data as you can get, as much detail in terms of product and timing and all of this kind of stuff, but also personal information. If they say they're a military vet, if you have the time, type it somewhere in a notes field or somewhere in your CRM system, especially if it's things like tennis courts. Because let's say, hey, I've got 10 people in my database that want a tennis court. I don't really care because I don't build anywhere near a tennis court. Well, builders don't really know what they're going to build down the road, right? So if 6 months from now you start building and it's right next to some sort of club with tennis courts, you could go into your database and pull that data up and start a whole new marketing campaign. So keep in mind that the data that you gather now can and will be used to your benefit in the future, even if you don't see it right this minute. Get as much data as you can to track. Now, there are some mistakes I've helped builders through for many years, but I don't want to put these in order, although I could tell you some of the biggest and most stupidest mistakes they make, but these are some that I would ask you to really think about and try not to make these. A lot of builders don't ask enough questions. I use the example of that training is free or training costs money, and they didn't figure out which one it was. That's a big gotcha. Also, builders tend to give themselves too much credit to be able to do everything. And, it's amazing that you can build houses, but that does not necessarily mean that you can take on the full burden of implementing software. So be realistic in terms of what you can do. A lot of times the decision maker didn't really get buy-in before they bought in, so to speak. So if there are other people that are critical to that process, if you're a one-man show, it's all on you, right? But if you've got a sales manager, you probably want to get that sales manager involved. After all, those team members are going to be part of that decision after you buy the software anyway. Also, builders expect immediate results. That's not really fair because the buying cycle is not immediate, although I have seen builders upload a database, create a newsletter, and send it out and get people contacting them for a design build agreement like within a matter of days. That's pretty quick. It's just not the norm. And then builders sometimes choose the cheapest option instead of the one with the best ROI. And I mentioned earlier, you've got to know that this system is going to make you money without getting the calculator out and without a lot of heavy brain work, so to speak. It should be pretty obvious. You also might have relied on what you heard from a Builder 20 group or another builder or a friend, but that doesn't necessarily mean that whatever works for that builder is going to work for you. They might have a different sales staff. It could be all kinds of differences, right? Sometimes the builder makes the assumption that the sales staff are just so excellent that they don't need a CRM system. That's typically wrong. Or they make the assumption that the sales staff can just absorb all of the implementation or all of the training or whatever. So be honest with yourself and have a good conversation about that. Also, most CRM systems and technology in general allow for some amount of resources back to you, the customer. In the case of CRM, certainly industry-specific CRM, they already know how to help you implement and train and what you need to do, and they can give you step-by-step instructions. So I don't know why you'd want to put the burden on your staff to do that when it typically doesn't cost much more for the CRM company to do it with you and for you. Often the decision to buy the CRM was not made by the actual decision maker. So, if you've got a sales manager that made the decision and they bought it, but then 2 months later, the owner of the company wants to do something else, that's sort of a disconnect internally at the company that could have and should have been taken care of before you went down the path of using resources to get a CRM system. And then, of course, a lot of times I've seen it, especially with non-industry specific systems, the training is done by software people and they know the software in and out, but they don't know your industry. So that's a disconnect. And then you, the builder or your salesperson or whoever's doing it, is having to train the software company how you do business so that they can train you how to use the system to your way of doing things. That's just a total disconnect. So you want training by people who know your industry. Okay, sorry for going fast, but I got 30 minutes and a bunch of slides and a lot of content. I put a lot of content on the slides, but remember, when I send that to you, that means you don't have to take all these frantic, copious notes, right? You've got a lot of content right then and there. Plus, there's the Word document that goes along with it. Now, I know a lot of builders are still doing things manually, as I mentioned, but that is really holding your sales back. If you said, I want, to go from 10 homes last year to 20 this year, doing it digitally is going to give you a much better shot of being more successful and more profitable. And then also, you'll be able to see your formula. How many web visitors do you get and how many leads do you get and which sources have the best conversion rates. All of those are critical. You'll see another stair step like this later, because if you do 10 homes and you say, well, I got 500 leads last year, all I have to do now is get 1,000 leads. Maybe not. Maybe there's a better way. Maybe that 500 leads led to 15 design build agreements and you sold and built 10 homes. Well, in that case, all you have to do is double your 15 design build agreements, right? So you'll be able to look at that formula as a mathematical equation. You'll see where there might be slippage, where some of those other things can be doubled, so you don't have to necessarily go all the way back to the top of the funnel. But every builder needs to know their formula. Otherwise, how are you going to manage it? How are you going to analyze it? How are you going to decide what to do differently? The real benefits of a CRM system are, of course, to sell more homes, or if I go up a level, it's to make more money, or if I go up a level from that, it's to live a better life, right? That's what we're all trying to do. But in terms of the CRM system, it really needs to help you capture and then manage suspects, move them to being a prospect because they've engaged in some more of a way, and then help you automatically and with personal involvement move that prospect to a customer. As I mentioned before, you want to have a combination of automation and personal involvement, and it really has to be a machine. There has to be workflow. One of the handouts you'll see on the presentation today is a flow chart. It might look like nuclear fission, but it's really the stuff that most builders are doing every day, whether they're doing it manually or leveraging technology. So think of your company's sales department as a machine, a system, a workflow. There's a starting point and an ending point, and that ending point is obviously to sell the deal. And then further, all the way through warranty. You could certainly have follow-up campaigns after the customer is in warranty. I see there's some questions here, so I'll answer those at the end, but keep them coming. That's great. Go back to this. Now, a lot of times, even for smaller builders who are doing 5, 10, 15 homes a year, they've got online people and on-site people, and then others say, nah, I've got someone who handles it all. That's totally fine, but there is a difference in selling to somebody who's only virtual, they're not willing to engage, and someone who is really walking in, or maybe they have a neighbor that you've built a house for and they're maybe a different demographic, maybe older, and want some customizations and are more likely to just walk in. So there are different skill sets in those two things, and there are different workflow and processes in those two things, the online and the on-site sales push. Here are some differences, in my opinion, having trained salespeople and helped builders make profitable decisions for 20 years. The online person, or the person who's managing the online leads, You know, that person might be working at 10 o'clock at night on a Sunday night because Mr. and Mrs. Smith just asked for some information, and it's all digital, so they could quickly jump in and send something, maybe chat online, etc. Whereas the on-site salesperson is typically better not only face-to-face, but to move that person or people into a decision of buying a home. There's absolutely nothing wrong with those people buying your home. And if everyone in your company does not believe that, there's a problem. You sell a service, a product, a home, whatever it is that you're selling, you and everyone in your company need to know that the decision to go with your company is a great one. Now, if you are looking at online sales counselor program, like a lot of builders are, we could have a whole day long class of this, but there are some basics, right? You've got to define that online sales program, the tools you're going to use, the emails you're going to send, the processes, what happens when the person handling the online lead makes an appointment for the on-site staff. All of that has to be defined, or you have to get it somewhere else. Then you have to communicate that to the team that is going to be managing it with you, your internal team. Then you have to be able to put it in motion, to identify it, to report on it, to manage it. And then 4, you either have to set up number 1 yourself, or you have to have a CRM system that's already structured to accommodate that and include all of that workflow. Or I guess you can pay a company or a consultant to create it for you. But there is a flow and a transference and a good transition from online to on-site. Okay, setting up the program involves a little bit of strategy. There are more questions, but these are some big ones, right? What are you going to give to that online sales counselor as a tool to use? Is it collateral they can email out? Is it knowledge about the community? I say community, yeah, it could be a homeowner community, but the neighborhood, I would say. And who owns that lead? What happens if they make an on-site appointment with the on-site person, but then Mr. and Mrs. Smith don't show up? Does it revert back to them, etc.? So here are some questions to ask. You can always contact me for some more. We could do a whole online sales counselor program specific and exclusive for custom builders, for that matter. Maybe Brian and the folks at CBUSA want to put that on. I'm happy to do it. Next, there always is a little bit of confusion about mass emails versus drip campaigns. And like all of you, we all know certain things, and if we don't know it, then it's not obvious, right? So I wanted to put this in here. Of course, you want to send individual emails, but your CRM systems should allow you to not only send that individual email, but to edit it, put links in there, put images in there, have a signature automatically added, etc. Mass emails are to groups. So let's say you've got a database of whether it's 37 or 370 or 37,000, whatever group of contacts you have. If you wanted to send a mass email right now today to everyone that just came in through a parade of homes, for example, you should be able to go manipulate the lookup or the sort or the database to say, okay, I only want to see those people who came through my parade of homes, and I want to send a mass email just to those people. Now, of course, you can send a mass email to everybody, but the point is a mass email is going to a group, whereas a follow-up campaign, or what you might think of as a drip campaign, that's very different. That is a series of identifiable tasks, including automated emails, that are going to be repetitive over and over and over. Let's take a campaign for a new web lead. On Monday, Mr. Smith asks for some information via the web. Okay, that's a web lead. And they're going to get email number 1 of our web lead campaign. Well, what happens if Mr. and Mrs. Johnson on Thursday come in as a web lead? They're also going to get email number 1 of that campaign. So it's going to be staggered over the course of the life cycle for all these people. Everyone gets email number 1, everyone gets email number 2, everyone gets email number 3, but all on different days based on when they came in, or what status they're in, or what score they are, etc. All right, I'm sorry I'm going fast, folks. I'm trying to do the best I can. Responses that work. I always get snickers and grins from builders who look at me and say, am I supposed to keep track of people for 2 years? Well, yeah, but I'm not saying that your salesperson has to call 27 times over 27 months. What I'm saying is that you want to leverage technology to do some of that grunt work for you, and so it can be a combination of automated emails that go out, plus, of course, phone calls. A CRM system is no excuse for the salesperson to disengage and just let the system run. No, of course you got to keep calling them, but at some point the salesperson is not going to call them anymore. But you can still be in touch with them over the long haul with automated follow-up. And I'm here to tell you that automated follow-up makes builders rich. The buying cycle isn't what we used to know it was. And in fact, that adage of if I always do what I'm always going to get, I'm always going to get what I always got, or whatever version you know, the truth is that isn't even happening anymore. If you continue to do what you always did, you're not even going to get what you always got. So you've got to do something different. Stay engaged with them over the long haul, because the buying cycle for one couple might be a month. The buying cycle for another couple might be 2 years. You just don't know. And there's no extra cost. Once the plans are set up and they run, who cares? It's free. Let the system just push things out. And then those people identify themselves when they are ready, while you're still following up with all the other new people coming into contact with you. It's beautiful. Now, when you talk about long-term follow-up, of course there's price, product, promotion, placement, etc. But you can use all kinds of relevant educational content to push out to them. It really shouldn't be buy my house, what about now, buy my house. It needs to be things about which they will want to open, they'll want to read. It could be based on price or promos or floor plans or product. It could be about the product in general. I had an example the other day. I was talking to a builder. The builder customer came in. They had $500,000 to buy a custom home. You only need 400K in Houston, but this customer had 500K. They didn't really know if it was better to buy the home outright, which they could do, or to go get a loan and pay interest on it, because there's some other financial considerations. So you as the builder get to be a resource. And so there's all kinds of content you can push out in your follow-up plans, including promotions, realtor events, neighborhood statistics, amenities, new stores opening up, things like that people care about. Now, sales is art, but it's backed by science. It's your business. You can do whatever you want, but I'm going to show you 2 different examples of follow-up plans. You might look at them and say, I can't do that, but I'm here to tell you, if you leveraged technology and had a CRM system, any CRM system, you could do this. You could win, and you can. I promise you, you can sell more homes in any market. Down market, up market, doesn't matter. There's my contact information again. You can call me or email me, and join us on Facebook, TopBuilder Solutions. We're new on Facebook, but you'll see more and more content there. All right, follow-up campaign number 1. Mike Lyon had this many years ago. It was in his first book, Browsers to Buyers, and he and I were working on this and some other follow-up campaigns and so forth. And this is a good one, but it may not be right for every builder. So here you've got some personalized follow-up, then some automated emails go out, then hey, what about now? Then some more automated emails go out, etc. Day 720, that's a long time, right? Now, I personally don't like this follow-up plan because I think there's too much time here in between your emails. I'd rather keep them on a newsletter every month or in some way engage with them every month. So for me, if I was writing your follow-up plan, I'd have at least 1 email, every month for a long time. Here's another one, and I'm sorry it's small on your screen probably, but of course I'll send this to you and then you can see it really quite clearly. There's also some handouts attached to this webinar that you can download. But here, this is for a new web lead, right? It's a phone call to a new web lead. And it's got all kinds of tasks. Some of those are internal notes to the salesperson. Some of those are automated emails. So immediately when that new web lead comes in, they're going to get this automated email. Already pre-written. The salesperson does not have to type, thanks for contacting us, and tomorrow I'll type, thanks for contacting us. You'll drive them crazy if you do that. Then on day 1, they need to make a phone call. And then, time goes on, whatever you want that time to be. But there's a lot of emails that go out based on this person. And what happens if they change and they no longer become a web lead? Well, let's say 120 days from now, they finally engage with you. When you change the status to, let's say they took a tour for a production builder, or they came in and started talking to you about a design build agreement, but they haven't decided to get a design build agreement yet, well, then you put them on a totally different follow-up campaign geared towards those people who have asked you about a design build agreement but have not signed yet. So you can have any number of these follow-up campaigns. Let's say you give them the keys, you kiss them goodbye, and you say thank you very much, and they're a customer in warranty. You could have a whole nother follow-up plan just to get referrals from those people in warranty. So keep in mind that you can have any number of follow-up campaigns. Now, there's 4 steps that builders typically, a lot of builders miss, and it kind of pains me to see that because it's so connected to your profitability. You got to get your team on board before you onboard your team. Onboard means, to implement. And you need to know all of these steps. These may not be your steps. In here where it says more qualified, maybe that's, where they paid for a design build agreement. But you need to create your steps, and then you need to know what those formulas are, because ultimately your quality of life, the amount of money you make, whether you're an employee or an employer, all of that is connected to how good you are or aren't at marketing. Steps 2, 3, and 4. Of course, you got to get a CRM system that's industry specific. I mean, unless you're a big company with an IT manager, I don't know who can support the brain power to recreate the wheel. You have to be able to know in your heart, intuitively, innately, that this CRM system is going to make you money. And number 4, you always have to combine automation with personalization. So automated tasks along with personalized tasks. Because when I talk to Mr. and Mrs. Smith and I find out they want a water view, or maybe their time frame is not now, or maybe actually they talked about having a mother-in-law unit, or whatever, then my response to them is going to change. At least it should, in my opinion. Okay, folks, you can win. I have tried very hard to get you a lot of content in 30 minutes, but trust me, you could really outposition your competition. Remember, you don't have to beat every builder in your area. You only have to outdo the builders that are your competition. And a CRM system, it does take some work to set up, but man, it's smooth going after that, and people will start contacting and engaging you over the long haul. A lot of builders just kind of say goodbye to them and lose the potential revenue from those sales that are going to go to some builder somewhere, sometime in the future. The CRM system really is the salesperson's friend. It's not free, but it's close to free, and it's silent. I would think that a lot of really sophisticated salespeople view the CRM system as their tool or their assistant in some way or another. All right, here's my contact information again. Contact me if you'd like a copy of the slide set. A big, giant thank you to CBUSA for sponsoring this and putting this on. I know a lot of folks are here with CBUSA. And let's see, we've got some questions here. A lot of questions. Uh-oh. Who gets the alerts? Please send the answers. Goodbye. I will. So who gets the alerts? That's part of that online sales counselor setting up from the online to the on-site. But that builder who just asked that question, she might have meant who gets the alerts when a new lead comes in. Remember that you have people in contact with you at different stages. So if you're a bigger company, then there's a person who gets the online leads. There might be someone else who gets the leads that walk into your office or who pick up the phone and call you. That's really a personal choice. It is hard to find a salesperson who can handle both online and on-site sales extremely well. You can find that. It's just a little bit more difficult. Especially because the person who's managing on-site situations is typically working certain hours, and they're not necessarily willing to answer the phone or email at 10 o'clock at night on a Sunday. But, it's up to you. It's your business. You can find the right person for you, but there are different skill sets that you want to look for in those people. All right, Brian, I think I've used up my 35 of my 30 minutes. Any questions or comments from your side?
No, not at all, Eric. I appreciate the webinar. It was very informative. Thank you. I'm in good shape.
Okay, great. Well, thank you all. I do want to mention one other thing. I don't know if I missed it earlier, but CBUSA members get a VIP rate with TopBuilder Solutions. So if you are a CBUSA member, let us know over here at TopBuilder Solutions. If you're not a CBUSA member, I will say that it's pretty incredible. They basically collectivize the clout for the smaller builders and allow a lot more competition and leveling the playing field, if you will. So give CBUSA a call. Their website is cbusa.us, and then contact me for anything related to this slide set, private conversations. I'll even give you my cell phone. That'll be on recording. 832-277-4805. That's 832-277-4805. Give us a shout. Let us help you in any way we can. And thank you very much to Brian and the folks at CBUSA. And thank you for being on the webinar.